I know it's been a minute since I have filmed. I know this year has looked a little different in terms of how much content I'm putting out, and there is a good reason for that. Your girl is 8 months pregnant, okay? I have been tired and doing my best to manage my life and just the exhaustion of pregnancy. We are in the home stretch though. I'm feeling pretty good overall. I just really love itty bitty babies, and I am so excited to be doing this again. And I think the other part of that is so exciting is seeing how excited my daughter is to be a big sister. She loves babies, loves them. Like, her voice goes up 3 octaves when we see a small child. And also just seeing how excited my husband is this time around too. Like, I think the first time he was pretty nervous about becoming a dad. I mean, I think all new parents are a little jittery about how much their life is going to change. But this time, I think also for him knowing where this journey goes and having an older kid now, he's really excited too. And that has been so sweet to see. I'm really happy. I'm in my baby moon phase. I'm enjoying this so much more than the first time because I'm not terrified. Today's video is a little hodgepodge of products that I'm really, really loving right now. Some of the items that you can find at the Sephora sale. Very brief talk on pregnancy skin changes. A little bit of talking about contrast levels and how to make certain products work for a medium contrast level, because that's what I am. So if you're wanting to know what I used on my face and how I get my makeup to last literally from early morning till late at night, stay tuned. Colorado seasonal changes and probably hormonal changes have really been doing a number on my skin. And I went to put on my makeup the other day and I was like, I look like the Crypt Keeper. I did not recognize my skin. It had become so crepey and textured under my eyes, which is really not something that I have dealt with before. So I decided to pick up Air Angel from Dieuxskin. This has glycerin in it. It has collagen and peptides, and it's like a gel cream formula. So it's about 2 pumps on my face. And this has made such a difference combined with their Instant Angel also, which we'll get to in a minute. But I love this. This is one of those products that I think it layers beautifully under Instant Angel for winter. But I also think that if you have maybe a more oily skin type, you're really going to love that for summer too. I swear, it's like every time I put that on, it soaks in so well and it just really plumps everything out. And so then what I like to do, I mentioned Instant Angel. This is a lipid-rich cream. I use a little more than a pea-size amount when I apply this. I probably do a little bit more at nighttime just because this is more occlusive. I really wanted something, oh, I'll get that in my hair. I really wanted something that was occlusive and was going to lock the moisture into my face without necessarily using Aquaphor, because I don't love how greasy Aquaphor is and I feel like it gets all over my pillow. But these two together have really been like the dream team in rehydrating and plumping up under my eyes. All right, that's my skin prep for today. I am also going to use the Eadem balm. This is the Chouchou softening balm, and this is just like their clear shade. This was sent to me. I think it's a phenomenal product. It stays on literally all night if you put it on at nighttime. I love that it has this metal applicator, but I think probably what I love the most is that it doesn't slip around your lips and go outside of your lip border. They have some tinted options and I'm really, really interested. There's like a fig color that looks like a pretty kind of terracotta fig shade. So skin is prepped. I've switched things up a little bit. I watched a makeup artist. She was actually the makeup artist for Lost, and she was talking about how she doesn't really use foundation on herself. She uses the Chanel bronzer, the cream bronzer, kind of all over her face, and then just kind of like touches up with a concealer where she needs it. But before I do that, I'm also going to use another gifted product that you can find at Sephora. This is the Innbeauty Face Glaze. I use just a little bit of this the way that I use highlighter before I put my makeup on. It just gives you a little bit of extra glow. It's got some skincare benefits in it. I like how this feels on my face, and I think especially like on the outer corners of the eyes where you tend to have more crinkling for those of us who are above our 20s. It just gives such a nice, pretty glow to your face and a little extra boost of hydration. I think what I also like so much about this formula is like, yes, it has like a hint of a shimmer to it, but it is so micro fine that it really just adds this beautiful glow to your face without enhancing texture. Now, this Chanel bronzer is not a new to me product. I've actually used this quite a bit over the years, and I've said this before too, I feel like this particular bronzer does have this like hint of coverage. So it kind of can replace your foundation if you really want it to. And I love how it just melts into the skin. This is the lightest shade that they have. I use their medium shade in the summertime. The other thing I want to kind of point out that I've been doing. So there's some different thoughts about using bronzer in place of concealer. I have a different approach. So my under eye is hollow out where there is that blueness, and then you can see a very obvious raised area where my cheek is. So what I have been doing is I've been going right up to where that hollow is, using that bronzer to kind of sink back the raised area. I mean, even just like that, I didn't cover my under eye, but just pushing that back with a little bit of a tint makes a difference. You don't have to use as much product on your face. This area right here is the area that the sun naturally hits you anyway. So I find that this technique looks very sun-kissed. And as you can tell, my chest tends to be darker than my face anyway. So it kind of brings this cohesive quality. This is another Sephora pick. And if you are like myself and you have either blue or any kind of discoloration under your eyes, this product has allowed me to use less concealer, which in turn means less caking and bunching when I move my face. So this is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector. I have the shade Pink Pomelo, and I use the teensiest amount of this just to cancel out that blueness. You know, we're using color theory here, kind of this salmon peachy shade to counteract the blue and purple tones. I just need you to watch what this does because it's such a nice thin formula, and it really does help to cut down those tones so I can use a lot less concealer. Honestly, I could probably even just get away with using just this instead of a concealer. But for like a truly airbrushed look, using this with a little bit of concealer on top, amazing. This is probably just a me pregnancy thing. I feel like my sleep when I'm pregnant is so much worse than when I'm not pregnant. Like even having a newborn, I feel like I sleep better than I do when I'm pregnant. And so lately I have just felt like no matter what I do, no matter how much concealer I use, everything was just kind of showing through. And I felt like I was caking on so much product, but using just a teeny tiny bit of this color corrector, really just where those shadows are, has allowed me to use a lot less product and look a lot more rested. This next product is not a Sephora product, but it is one that I fell in love with when I was at Neiman Marcus. And that is the La Prarie Skin Caviar Foundation and Concealer. What I like so much about this in particular, you've got your foundation and concealer all in one convenient little setup. So you've got this spatula with your foundation. So like you could put this on a palette if you were a makeup artist, on the back of your hand. I usually will just kind of put it on the side of my finger and then dot it onto my face. And then on the very top of this, you have this flip cap with a color coordinated concealer. I'll take a little bit of this, put it on my finger. I don't have to use that much of it. I actually saw someone talking about how she got this and she's like, I can use this literally every day for like over a year and I still have so much product. So I concentrate a majority of this foundation on the center of my face, taking the same brush that I used for my bronzer and just going in and focusing on the areas that don't have as much of the Chanel bronzer, really just to even out my skin tone. I'm telling you, this gives you the most beautiful airbrushed finish. So taking this over my bronzer, slightly onto that under eye, because again, I can use less concealer by doing this. I've been working a lot on my skin lately and really trying to use vitamin C. I've been using some different acids because I can't use retinol while I'm pregnant. And I feel like it has really helped the overall pigmentation of my skin. But I want you to just look, I used the tiniest amount of product and it just gives you such a beautiful, radiant glow. I absolutely love this foundation. It's amazing. Now I'm going to take just a teeny tiny amount of that concealer, dipping my brush straight in. You can see I've just got like the lightest coating of it. And this is really what's going to allow my under eyes to kind of lift out and really get a good concealed look. I'm not taking it all the way up to where that crease is under my eye. I'm really concentrating on where that seam is between the plumpness of my cheek and the hollow of my eye and kind of feathering it up. I always like to take a little bit right here as well because I do tend to have like blueness on the corner and then almost like redness, like where sunglasses hit. Again, avoiding that little crease. I will tap that out before I set my face. I like to drag a little bit around the nose as well. I think a lot of people tend to have some broken capillaries and things like that. Ooh, I'm like hot. Hormones are weird. So I'm going to show you now what I've been doing to literally take my makeup from morning, early morning to bedtime, leaving it almost perfect. So I got the Huda Beauty baking powder. This is the shade Cherry Blossom, which is this kind of cool pink color. I really like this shade because even though I have sort of a warmer golden overtone to my skin, this gives me a lot of lift and brightness because it counteracts those tones in my skin. So I actually love to use this for setting my face. So I got the Baby Bake, which they're kind of an unusual packaging. You like flip this thing up and then turn, and it gives you the option of like this little powder puff or just like the sifter in here. What I've kind of found, because I don't really love using the powder puff necessarily, I kind of like loosely put it on here and then shake it, and then that gives me some product on the puff and inside of here as well. What I like to do is get some on a brush. We'll just tap off a little excess. And I really focus on setting the center of my face. That's where I tend to get the most oily, and that's where I want to focus the most product. You can tell though that really just like squashed down the shine. It took away the emphasis on texture. It really does look like magic right before your eyes. I had a different shade of this a couple years ago. I think it was the shade Pound Cake. And I just wanted to try something a little different this time in terms of tone. I've used more yellow powders to set my face before. I've used neutrals, and so this time I just wanted to try the pink to kind of see like what does that do for my skin. So again, focusing under the eye. I kind of put some of that in the center here before working it up so I don't have a ton of powder under my eyes. But look at the lift that gave. It takes down any shine that you have, and so it kind of just smooths out that texture because there's no highlight where your product is. I'm telling you, this combination, this skin combination, lasts me 12 hours. It's incredible. Just lightly on the outside of the eyes so we don't get crinkling. You may be wondering, where's her blush? I am going to use a cream blush. I'm putting it on after powder because it actually layers really beautifully, surprisingly. This is another product that is not new to my channel, but this shade is new to me. This is the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Stick in the shade Doo Doo. And I think this color is so beautiful. It actually reminds me of Glossier's Cloud Paint in the shade Storm. It's like this warm, pinky kind of color. It looks so natural on me. Like, it really looks like my cheeks like after I've gone for a run. I think it's so beautiful. I'm actually going to take my brush here and just swipe it on to my stick. This shade can seem a little intense when you are first applying it, but I swear it's like once I have got it all worked in, it looks like it belongs on my face. It looks like it's a part of my face. I like to focus my blush a little bit higher. I do have a lot of cheek real estate, and if I drop that down too low, it just makes my face look a little heavy. But again, and I've talked about this in other videos, I do have a pronounced cheekbone, and so if I stick too high above that, it looks kind of weird. Like, it doesn't really look natural either. So just working this into the skin, tapping, patting, pull that back into the hairline, and if you feel like it's a bit too much, you can use your fingers to sort of pull that product back a bit. And again, I kind of have to find where that cheekbone is, get that blush to sit right on it. And just as a final measure, I'm going to take that powder brush again and just kind of tap around the edges of where that blush is. It just kind of softens it and makes it look a little more seamless, in my opinion. For my eyes, I'm going to do just kind of one of my favorite types of looks. I did this yesterday and it wore beautifully. I'm going to take my MAC Pro Longwear paint pot in the shade Bare Study, and I'm just going to pop that onto my lid. This is like a sheer shimmery champagne, but every time I use this, it makes my eyeshadow just stay flawless all day. And I actually really like the ones that have a little bit of shimmer because it just bounces that light a little bit, even if you use a matte color on top of it. All right. Now what I'm going to do is use the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette in Spice. I saw this when I was just walking through Sephora and I thought that it was so cute. It's just this cute little palette. I am not a big palette girly. I never have been. They just kind of stress me out, to be honest. I think I've had like one truly large palette before, and I just, A, I feel guilty because I'm not going to use all of those shades, but B, I want more of a curated collection that flows, that makes sense, that I can easily toss into a makeup bag if I'm traveling. I just don't want a big palette. I'm not that girl. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into this kind of taupey shade that has a little bit of like a silvery shimmer to it. And this is what I'm going to use as my crease color. I'm just using a large fluffy brush because A, that works really well with my eye shape, and B, it's just a lot easier to blend out. I feel like a lot of people use really tiny brushes sometimes with really dark shades, and then they're like, why is this taking so long to blend out? Why can't I get it smooth? Use a bigger brush. It's like my #1 game-changing hack. I've done this for years, and it's seriously my favorite. Other thing, this is what is this? This is the Scott Barnes number 62 brush. I've had this for years. It's fluffy enough that you can really blend that color out and get a really beautiful wash. You can also use the very corner of it because it is tapered enough. This brush is great because it gives you some versatility, but I always love a little definition under my lashes because this allows me to get away with not necessarily using like a liner under my eyes. I mean, I can, but I like a soft look under my eyes. Now I'm torn. I was kind of considering using the pink today because I think that shade is so pretty. However, this like golden shade is what I used yesterday, and it is so shimmery and so reflective. And I really, look at that. It's so pretty. I think especially for like holidays, for birthdays, special events, or if you're just feeling kind of bougie and you really like some extra sparkle, you can't beat that. And I love it with my eye color as well. Trying not to do too much on that inner corner, but look at how it has this pop to it. I love it. There's almost like a subtle green iridescence to this shade, and I think that that makes it really special. Too much right there. Oh, okay. 2 shadows. You could definitely beef up this look and use one of these darker shades as like a liner. In fact, I'll go in with just a hint more depth with this kind of penny bronze shade. And I'll do just real close to where my crease is here, just for a tiny bit more depth. Just adds a little pop. Again, having a fluffy but tapered brush really gives you some versatility where you're not going to need a million brushes for your eye look. I'm going to dust that off a little bit as well, and then flatten that brush on my skin just to blend a bit more. Now I'm going to use one of my absolute favorite eyeliner pencils, and actually I'm going to use one of their lip liner pencils as well. These are from Jones Road Beauty. I just love these formulas. I find them to be so creamy, but they also are long lasting without being like a long lasting formula. They're just very classic and easy to work with. So this is their shade Brown. I have had, I don't know, I think this might be my 3rd pencil. But what I like to do is I have been lining just the outer half of my eye and getting as close to those lashes as I possibly can. And I haven't been doing like a big dramatic wing upward. I've sort of been dragging it out a bit more and then using my nail to stretch that pigment. Just sort of elongates my eye without competing with the fact that my eye is somewhat deep set. Very, very soft, very easy eye look. This is just really kind of my go-to lately. Now let's talk lashes. A lot of you probably have seen my lash journey over the years. I've had periods of having extremely long Bambi style lashes from using lash serums that contain prostaglandins. I no longer use those because of my concerns around my eye health. I don't want to have meibomian gland dysfunction. So I use lash serums that have different peptides and things like that. So my lashes are not as long as they used to be, but they are also not as short as they used to be either. I've kind of hit this happy medium and I'm okay with it. I will say though, and I don't know if this is pregnancy related, but lately my lashes have not wanted to hold a curl. So I caved and I got the Surratt lash curler. This was trending on TikTok. I ordered mine off of Amazon and it actually seems to hold a curl better with these. So I think it might be the actual shape. I'm just able to get it closer to my eye. It's not as rounded as some of them, but I feel like this has really helped my lashes hold a curl. It just stands them up. It really, I don't know, if you're struggling with your lashes falling down, try this lash curler. My lashes, when I used to curl them, would go above the top of the lash curler. I miss that. I love having long eyelashes and I really miss how they used to look, but I also don't want to sacrifice my eye health. So the mascara that I'm going to use today is another repurchase product. This is not a new to me product, but it's one that gives me the effect that I'm looking for. So if you're on TikTok, you may have heard makeup artists and other people talking about your contrast level, meaning like you're either a low contrast person or medium contrast person or high contrast person. And what that means, if you are low contrast, your skin color, your eye color, your hair color are all similar. It doesn't mean they're necessarily muted. You can be any skin tone and this can be true. It just means there's not a lot of variance between the tones in your eyes, your hair, and your skin. If you're medium contrast, you're bumping up that contrast a little bit. So I fall into a medium contrast level. I have kind of fair medium skin. My eyes are green, but they're a darker green. They're not a really soft pale green. If my eyes were a softer, paler color and my brows were not as dark as they are naturally, I would probably fall into that low contrast category. Now for high contrast, you want to think your hair color, skin color, and eye color are all quite different. Sometimes what you'll see is someone that has really dark eyes, dark hair, very, very fair skin. Think like Anne Hathaway. She's a great example of someone with high contrast. Her features all kind of stand out from each other. A lot of what's recommended to medium contrast girlies like myself is to use a brown mascara. Now here's the problem. My lashes are not light. So if I use a brown mascara, a lot of times that mascara is lighter than my eyelashes and it sort of washes out my eyes. So what I have found to do that I think is more effective is finding a mascara formula in black that is almost more like a lash tint, that is not adding a ton of volume, length, drama. It's enhancing my lashes without toning them down or making them like the focal point of the look. So what I like to use for that is the MAC Extended Play Mascara. It has this teeny, teeny, tiny wand. I get really close to the base of those lashes, sort of feather through on the tips of my lashes. And do a little bit on the bottom as well. Now, as you can see, it did add a little more drama and definition, but my mascara is not the focal point of my face. My face, you have this kind of cohesive look, which I think is perfect for a medium contrast. There's one thing left to do, which is my lips. Obviously, I could just leave them with this balm. I actually really love how it feels. It actually, I think, looks really pretty too. But I want a little something extra today. So I'm gonna wipe this off. My lips are very well hydrated now. I love that formula. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use the Jones Road pencil. This is the shade Tawny Nude. If you are someone who likes Wherever Walnut, I feel like this and Wherever Walnut from Makeup Forever could almost be like sisters. This gives me this like perfect pinky brown nude color. I feel like this shade would work for a lot of different skin tones as well. It's going to have a different effect depending on the depth of your skin tone. However, I just think it's one that could be really flattering for a wide range of skin tones. I have this little freckle on my lip and it becomes more pronounced when I'm pregnant. I don't know why. It kind of tones down a little bit after I've had babies, but it just always pops up when I'm pregnant. It is crazy how much your skin changes during pregnancy. And I think the first time I was pregnant, it really freaked me out. I felt like I was in someone else's body and I was just kind of at the mercy of what was happening to it. And, you know, at the end of pregnancy, wondering like, am I ever going to look and feel like myself again? Your body changes. I think for me, most of the major body changes that I had, different pigmentation that popped up. I ended up with a line across my stomach, some stretch marks, all of that faded eventually. It took a little time, but you know, it did go away for me. This time I really haven't had many stretch marks pop up, but I have had like my little lip freckle and my little tummy line that I had the first time is also back. And it's just kind of strange how that all changes, but it doesn't freak me out this time because I know where we're going and I'm really just excited to have another baby. I didn't know if I would do this again and I'm really happy. All right, final product. This is the Dior Plumping Gloss, the Lip Maximizer in the shade 007. This is like their raspberry shade. I love this formula. This particular shade, I feel like it ties really well with the blush. It's got some vibrancy to it, but it also is not like a neon color. It doesn't compete with the rest of my makeup, but it gives me that lift and that life that I'm looking for in a lip color. This has really been my go-to. Oh, I forgot. There is one more thing. This is the secret. Between the Huda powder, thin layers, and this product, this is how I have been taking my makeup literally from morning until night. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Word of caution, make sure that the nozzle's not clogged or else you will just like blast your face with this in like one patch and it's like soaking wet. You want to kind of do this in like an X motion because then you get full coverage of your face. So I close my eyes and I hold my breath. Do a little more on that side. I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing. It takes a minute to kind of settle into your face. Now it's dried down, so it's not as glossy looking. What I think is so amazing about this spray, not only for the fact that it extends your makeup literally for 12 hours, the other thing about this that I think is really amazing is it kind of cuts down on that dryness that powder can create on your face. It brings a little bit of life back to your skin, makes it look a little more juicy and hydrated again. But between the powder and this setting spray, it locks your makeup in and it just gives you this veil almost like this, almost like, have you ever seen like soap operas where they have like that hazy filter? That's what I feel like when I have this combination on my face. Like I feel like a walking filter and my makeup stays perfect literally all day. It's incredible. That's today's look though. Thank you so much for following along with me and sticking around for chats about Sephora and contrast levels and pregnancy skin changes and just sort of all of the things. I haven't done a video like this in a really long time, and I really like just filming chill videos that are not necessarily so brand launch focused. Those are my videos that tend to do really well, but I love just getting to sit down, play with makeup, share different tips and techniques that I have been trying out, what's working for me, what's not working for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a little thumbs up. That helps other people find my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.